What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the No Continues Gaming channel. I'm your host, Edgemaster X, coming at y'all with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile video. And this time, we covering the Dark Worlds. So, you already know what it is. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the background of the archetype, talk a little bit about where the deck came from, what the deck can do, and ultimately I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Dark World from a gamer's perspective. This deck profile will be in depth just like my last one because there's just a lot of information to go over just because Dark Worlds have had just such a lot of evolution over time. So we're going to go ahead and get on into it. Let's go.
So starting off with the monsters, we are on 3 copies of Genta, the Gateman of Dark World. This card is very important to play at 3 because what he does is he actually is going to give you access to your field spell. The field spell is known as Gates of Dark World. And what is so broken about this card is he actually special summons himself back from the banish zone. So we're going to see an interaction later where when you use the effect of your field spell, you're going to banish him. And then because you control a Dark World card, he actually special summons back to the board. And what is even more amazing is his first effect to discard is not once per turn. So we're definitely on 3 copies of Genta, the Gateman of Dark World. And then in my personal build, I am playing 3 copies of Grapha, the Dragon Lord of Dark World. So the reason why you want to play 3 is because you want to actually maximize on that fusion effect. And he's just awesome at breaking boards. So I tell everybody, bro, just play 3 Grapha. You'll never regret it. I haven't. He actually steals a lot of games. Just his effect to special summon back from the graveyard does not start a chain, so it doesn't activate, is what that means. So at any point in time on your turn, when in open game state, if you just need to basically get a monster back to your hand, there's so many interactions where just summoning him just puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. And then we're on 3 copies of Rainbow, the Overking of Dark World. I love the artwork of this card. So essentially, when he's discarded, what he's going to do is he's going to give you a search for level 5 or higher Dark World monster. And then he has a Grapha-like effect as well, where he can return a Dark World monster on your field to your hand that's of a lower level. So very good card to have. These are your main monsters that are sort of getting things started as far as, you know, Genta actually gets you the field spell, Grapha pops cards, and he's able to keep momentum on your plays. And then Rainbow here is the big boy that searches out the other big boys in the deck. So each of these has, I call them like the generals, because each of these has a very pivotal effect to really just kind of keep the game snowballing in your favor. Speaking of snowballing, we have 3 copies of Snow, the Unlight of Dark World. She's arguably the most important Dark World in the deck because she searches any Dark World card. She also has an auxiliary effect that you don't really get a chance to use much, just like the rest of these guys. But the main thing you're using her for is getting that search off. So we're on 3 copies of her as well. And then I'm also playing 3 copies of Brow. At first, I was only running 1 or 2, you know, but honestly, 3 is the way to go. And the main reason why is because as you're going to see later into the profile, we're playing lots of cards that just help us draw. So I'm definitely telling you guys, 3 Brow, you won't forget it or won't regret it. So these are all our 3 ofs. For our 2 ofs, I'm playing 2 copies of Bage, Vanguard of Dark World. He's actually really important for the deck because when he gets discarded, he's actually going to special summon himself back to the board. So 2 copies of him, 1 copy of Silva, and 1 copy of Gold. These are our targets to search off of Rainbow. Silva, which is this guy right here on the left, what he's going to do is he actually makes your opponent put 2 cards from their deck back, from their hand back into their deck at the bottom. And Gold actually destroys 2 cards on the field, and they both special summon themselves when they're discarded. The reason why I'm reading their auxiliary effects is because there's cards that allow you to take advantage of that. So we're on 1 copy of both of these bad boys. And then I'm also playing 1 copy of Parl. It's mainly because he's just another name, but he actually special summons a Dark World back from the graveyard. Occasionally this comes up, not much. If you cut this card, I wouldn't be mad about it, but he's actually pretty decent and worth running in my opinion. So these are all of our Dark World monsters. I would definitely recommend maxing out on the ones that I mentioned before, just because they actually generate a lot of just different advantages. So these are all of our Dark World monsters. Going into our non-dark worlds, I'm on 3 copy of Fabled Raven. I was not a believer in this card until I started using it. To be honest, the main reason why you want to go ahead and play this guy is because you can discard a card on res, and his level and his attack points go up. That doesn't matter as much as just the fact that he can turn on an entire hand. So I'm actually playing him over the Salamander Catalyzer, to be honest, because he allows you just to get so much advantage. And you're going to see another interaction later in the video where he actually can help with just different plays that you're going to see. We're on 2 copies of the Dark Hex Seal Fusion. I play this guy because he's a substitute to turn any of your Dark Worlds or just any of your monsters into your copy of the Fusion Grapha. So him plus any danger is Fusion Grapha. It's amazing. Speaking of those dangers, I'm on 2 copy of Bigfoot, 1 copy of Nessie, 1 copy of Tsuchinoko, Snek, whatever, and 1 copy of Jackalope. To be honest, I don't really like the RNG of the dangers, but they kind of are a necessary evil a little bit. Fabled Raven is actually the reason why I'm playing the dangers once again, just because I had actually cut them out of my build originally, but I'm able to play them now because Fabled Raven helps take the RNG factor out of them. So I'm only playing 5 just because these are kind of extra draw cards for me. The deck draws a lot, but that's the reason why I'm only playing 5 of those. Now for the Dark World spell cards. On 3 copies of Dark World Dealings, we both draw a card, discard a card. Amazing. I'm actually playing 3 copies of Archives. I see so many lists only running 1 of this card. You guys are crazy. This card is a 3 of, in my opinion, because you want to see this card in your opening hand. This card cracks boards. This card helps makes your board. This card is arguably one of the most important cards to have on your side of the field, just because it helps you snowball advantage just so quickly between your turn and your opponent's turn. I'm on 2 copies of the Fusion spell Dark World Ascension. This card is just overly broken, man. I mean, this card plus your Dark Hex Seal Fusion or anything else, if you kind of need it or in that situation, just helps turn on an entire hand sometimes. Also, this card has a graveyard effect that allows you to discard a card and add it back to your hand, and it's a quick play. I mean, that card's amazing. I'm on 2 copies of Dark World Puppetry. Dude, in the Tearlament format, this card is just cracked. You literally banish 3 and discard a card. Oh my god, like I cracked so many boards with this card. It's amazing. It's not gonna be so good against the Kashida mashup. So when you're going up against Kashtira, they're able to just kind of manipulate their from the banner zone and from their graveyard. So it's not as good in that matchup, but it's an easy side out. So I wouldn't downplay this card just because it still kills rogue decks. And the field spell, I'm only running 2. I know a lot of you are like, why are you only running 2 of the field spell? It's not in testing. I've done so much testing with this deck. The field spell is not as good at 3 as most people would think. 2 has, for me, has been just working out perfectly. Mainly because, again, I'm on a smaller danger count than most, and I prioritize more consistency with the deck, and 2 is just perfect. Seeing this card in my opening hand, I just really wasn't feeling it. But 2 to me is perfect. So that's all of our Dark World spell cards. And then going into my 1 generic spell that I'm running is just 1 copy of Allure of Darkness. I'm only just running this at 1 just because it's an extra draw card, and if I need to side it out, I can. The only card I really want to banish off of this, of course, is the Genta. But don't forget that Dark World Puppetry, you can actually banish it to get a banished Fiend monster back. And then for traps, I'm only running the 2 copies of Skill Drain. Honestly, if you're not playing this card, you're doing yourself a disservice. This build that I have is mainly meant for going second. I know as weird as it looks, but this card is just amazing. And if you're not running it, I don't know what to tell you. It's just too good. Going now to the extra deck, I'm on the 1 copy of Apollousa, 1 copy of Macracker. Honestly, I was thinking about bumping this up to more than 1. Actually, here's my second one right here. I was actually playing 2 in my original build because this card comes up on the crackback a lot. 1 copy of Saryuja Skull Dread and 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. And that's pretty much the Link monsters, not really a lot to say there. Those are all just great choices. One copy of Groza, Tyrant of Thunder. This card is amazing because he's a fiend, and this you can make off of Fabled Raven plus any of your level 5s. And essentially, he allows you to negate a monster effect on the field, and then he gets one of the 3 effects at the bottom that either make it so he can't be destroyed by battle, or targeted by card effects, or destroyed by card effects. So he discards on res, so that's really important. So he's basically just another negate. Then for our XYZs, we got the one Baguska. This is real easy to make with Raven and Beige and a couple other cards. One copy of Dingirsu. This card is just for spot removal. The Zombie Vampire. I don't really make this card, but I play it because he just allows you to detach when you summon him. So he's like a Felgrand in that respect. So he also gives you a card from your opponent's graveyard too, which can come up. But again, in testing, I might just cut this card and play Felgrand instead. One copy of Hope Harbinger, Titanic Galaxy. He negates spells. He redirects attacks. This guy's amazing. One copy of Giant Trainer. Not much needs to be said. He lets you draw cards. One copy of Dweller, because this card's still relevant at the moment. And one copy of Dugaris, the Timeless. This card, amazing. You draw 2, discard 1, and you just kill the opponent. And then 2 copies of the Fusion Monster Grapha Overlord of Dark World. Honestly, this card is something that deck needed. Like, straight up. This card literally changes the overall format and the climate of how the deck can be played. And to be honest, this card like made me reconsider playing this deck at 60 cards, because the main deck I have right now right at about 44 cards. This card right here is what helps me keep it there, because before I was playing this card, the deck at 60. But with this card, you can just play a much lower count. So now we're going to get some test hands. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm shuffling up the deck and going to be doing some power shuffling here in a second. Just to talk a little bit about the background of the deck. It actually started back in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was the first time this deck was like announced, or shown rather. And essentially, the way that it was played on the show is very similarly to how it's played here, but they were using it to like take people's memories and kind of just screw people over. This deck actually has a lot of lore implications as well, and it's got a lot of history in the game, like as far as playing in the meta, as far as topping and things like that. This deck has always been around, but you know, it was very format dependent, very similarly to Dinos. So I would say that this deck, if you play against most other decks, it has a fair chance of winning, just because you're able to overwhelm your opponent with just all these different types of things you can do. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different test hands. For our first hand, we got Danger Jackalope, Fabled Raven. I'm already liking where this is going. We got Rainbow, we got Grapha, and we got our Dark World dealings. So this hand is incredible. You know, you got so much you can do with this hand. If we were going second, our 6th card would have been another Rainbow. I would definitely take that. So just to briefly show you guys just a little bit of what you can do is you can summon your Raven here. Because he kind of turns on the entire hand, you're able to just go ahead and activate this copy of Dark World Dealings first. You're going to go ahead and draw the extra Rainbow that you're going to get, and you're actually going to go ahead and discard this copy of Rainbow. What Rainbow is going to do is he's going to give you a search. So in this particular case, you're going to get gold. That's what I would do. And then from here, you could actually just go Fabled Raven effect. You could discard the gold, and then gold is going to special summon himself back to the board. And then you could literally go ahead and synchro for 8 right then and there. And then this is without using the RNG off of the Danger Jackalope. So that's just one play. And what also is amazing is you can just return the gold to your hand to summon the Rainbow if you needed to. So I would definitely consider this hand a W, just because you have so much you can do with that. So we're going to go to another hand. All right, so in this next hand we got a gold, Dark Hex Silk Fusion. Okay, I'm liking that. Genta, really liking this. Raven, and Rainbow. So this hand is just absolutely just busted all the way. Like, you do have 2 normal summons in your hand, but I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing, because Raven is arguably going to be the better card for the most part. However, if you just want your fusion and just kind of like sit with multiple cards in your hand, then you can do that as well, because what you can do is you can use your Genta, you get your field spell, banish your Genta with the field spell's effect, discard your Rainbow here, you get your draw, you search your Silva, you special summon your Genta back to the board, and then you can just normal summon your Dark Hex Silk Fusion, and then bam, you already have your Grapha there. So, you know, that's just some things to think about when you're playing this deck. It's very interaction based, which is why I like it. There's no like one set line of play. We got our fusion spell, Dark World Ascension, Brow, Dark World Puppetry. Okay, I'm liking this. Danger, Bigfoot, and then our last card for going first would be Grapha. So a lot of good stuff here in this hand as well. So I would definitely say that this hand is also a W for sure. So from here, you literally can just go Ascension, and then you already have your fusion right here, your fusion play. You could actually just set your Ascension and your Puppetry for your opponent's turn, and then on your opponent's turn, you can go Ascension, fusing Grapha and Bigfoot, get your fusion monster out, and then you literally have a Brow in hand that's going to get you an extra draw. After your opponent activates an effect, you can go the effect of your fusion monster Grapha. You get 2 draws instead of 1 off of this 1 Brow, and then your Puppetry would still be live either way. So that hand, 100% W. Next hand, we've got Archives. Oh god, yeah, this is already going to be an amazing hand. Archives, Beige, Allure of Darkness, and then the next 2 cards were Genta and Rainbow. So this hand is just amazing. Like, there's just so much you could do with this hand. It's nuts. So just to kind of give you guys an idea. So you already have your Archives. So you would go ahead and play out your Archives. You can use your effect of Genta. Genta is going to discard. And then you're going to go ahead and get this field spell from your deck to your hand. So you're going to go ahead and activate that. And then you're going to go for your field spell's effect. You're going to go ahead and banish this copy of Genta. Let me put the field spell here. Banish that Genta, discarding the Rainbow, and then you're going to get your random draw. So in this case, we drew the Ascension. In the new chain, Genta and then your Rainbow is going to go off, special summoning the Genta to the board, and also you're going to get your Silva here when I find it. And you have your Dark World Archives going on as well. So what's amazing about all of this is now you're going to take that Silva you just added, so you discard it, and then you're going to draw 2 additional cards. So we drew a Snow, well, we drew 2 copies of Snow off of that. So, and then, and at the resolution of that, Silva has to summon itself to the board, so he's going to hit the board next. So you're already like so far an advantage with just the cards that you still have in your hand. You have 2 Snows, you have Ascension, you have Allure, and you have a Beige. Plus, you can use the effect of your Archives to discard a monster, so that way it boosts all of your other Dark Worlds by that monster's attack. Like, this deck is just nuts, man. And then you just return the Silva to special summon the Rainbow, and man, listen, I'm telling y'all, Dark World Archives, don't let people fool you playing this card at 1. I'm telling y'all need to be maxing out on this card. But that hand was definitely a W. It's just so much interaction that this deck has that I could continue to show you guys test hands, and the possibility of me bricking is extremely small just because we're running so many good cards. So we got Fabled Raven. This is already a good hand. We got our Skill Drain. This is good. We got Agenta, good. Archives, great. And Dark World Dealings. So the beautiful thing about Archives, when you read it, it says that, let me pull it up right here. So the good thing about Archives, it says that if a Fiend monster was discarded by the effect of a Dark World card, then that gives you the ability to get the whole draw 2 aspect of everything going. That is in and of itself amazing. So you could just go Archives here, for instance. You know, so you get your Archives. You could go Dark World Dealings. We both draw. Oh my god. And then we just discard Snow here, so that's even more busted. But if you didn't draw into Snow, if you didn't RNG into that Snow and you drew into like a spell or trap, you could just discard the Raven, and then your Dark World Archives would go off for you to draw 2 and then discard 1. I'm sorry, discard 1 and draw 2. I said that backwards. So you still would have been plussing off of everything. And then remember, this deck is interaction based, so you have so many other plays you can go for. It's just really insane what this deck can do. And yeah, that's going to conclude the whole test hands part of this. So Dark Worlds, just amazing. I've been playing Dark Worlds for a few years now. It's probably been at least like 3 or 4 years. And I can say with confidence that that build that I was just showing you guys was one of the best Dark World builds you're going to see. If you at least give it a shot before you judge it, that is something you want to definitely take a look at. Just because the deck has so many different interactions and so many things that it can do. And honestly, with the way that the game kind of is, breaking boards is not as hard as it used to be, like when we were in like Drytron format and things like that. So you're going to have a lot better time playing this deck, and there's just so many cards you can take advantage of. You won't regret it. All right, guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe if you like the video. Please let me know what you think. We're definitely in the video duel community, so if you guys are interested in getting into video dueling, they called it stupid and dumb years ago, but you know, now it's actually been a really big, fast growing community. Play, beat, survive, do everything you can in life. Just do it with no continues. All right, guys, Edgemaster X signing out. Peace.